right, guys, welcome to another episode of Dr. Dallas Unleashed. I am Dr. Dallas, and we are here with Angelica. Welcome back.
Back to the old days. I feel like it's been a long time.
Yeah, we have a little bit different setting.
Right.
If, remembering some of the old ones, we had more of a circular table. Now we have a more of a, you're in my living room and let's talk, right?
It's the vibes I'm getting. It's super calm. It's nice. It's chill.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about a lot of the same things, a lot of the new things that are coming about. We're going to be talking about plastic surgery trends coming up this year and everything about pop culture, dating, stuff that goes on in your world, exercise, fitness, because Angelica is a fitness professional provider. You tell us what you do exactly on a day-to-day basis, because as you can see, she is very swollen today. And what do I mean by that?
So pretty much every single day, I see lots of different clients. I'm teaching group fitness classes. I see personal clients. So I work with a lot of people from all ages, all shapes and sizes, similar to what you would do, but an exercise basis. So I would say that everybody's coming to change something about maybe not even their body, maybe make them feel better or whatever it is. So I get to see people all over. And
you're in a gym, correct? And so you work out of the gym, so the clients come in and you kind of lead the classes in what would you say sort of the types of things? Is it strength training, stretching? What do you do?
So I do HIIT training, so it's high intensity interval training.
HIIT training. So not CrossFit? Is there a difference?
There is a difference between CrossFit and HIIT. High intensity is things to get your heart rate up. I teach more of either treadmill and strength training. I'll do boxing. I teach people how to box. I love doing that. And then I do like circuit training. And I also do personal training. So one-on-one training with different clients who want a little bit more personal attention and something catered specifically to them.
Okay, perfect. So you're getting people to lose weight, feel better about themselves by exercising, because that's a pretty proven fact. You know, when you exercise, you release a lot of hormones.
Yep.
And just from what I know as well, it actually not only is going to help you make you feel better psychologically, but having or being healthy can actually improve your immune system. I heard it can help you fight against certain cancers. I mean, just a wealth of things. And I tell people, you know, before they get ready for surgery, they should, if they're not exercising, start, because even a little bit is good, because you're going to improve your immune system. You're going to have a better surgery, but I think more importantly, you're going to have a better recovery. They recover better. Our patients who are fit, who are not sitting around all the time eating fast food, they're the ones who are a little bit slow to get back, but the ones who are very fit, they're the ones telling me, oh gosh, I only needed pain medications for 3 days. And then I was up and I was walking and I feel great. And so you kind of get a sense of like, okay, these are the people who I know are going to do well. So I think it's great that you're doing that. And that kind of segues into what I want to talk about with, trends in 2024. We were seeing this all last year, but all this semi-glutide weight loss medications that have really come out and I think have made a huge impact on people losing weight. And so in your side, you probably heard and seen people. Would you say that's something that's very common, like in a particular group of 30? Are you seeing a few of them on it? Do they like to say it? Do they want to hide it? What's been your experience?
So I definitely know it's something that's trending, especially in the expertise of mine. So the people I see, whether it's women, men, they are using it, and they're using it for weight loss, not for anything else.
Right. Really, the drug companies were using it to help people with diabetes because it has some really positive effects and how you release insulin and how insulin helps you take care of the circulating sugar, which when you don't have enough insulin, you start to develop type 2 diabetes. So, but you're right. What we're talking about is the side effect, which happens to be what people want it for, is to lose weight by, and we'll go into that a little bit, but by losing weight. So you're seeing it for losing weight, correct?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it just depends, people who are putting in the work and coming into the gym and they might have a little extra stubborn fat, but they don't qualify for liposuction, might turn to something like this, especially if they can't change their lifestyle 100%, eating super clean, exercising 5 times, 6 times a week, whatever it is, even if it's something super small. And they're trying to find any easy solution. Now, it doesn't always work. I don't know if it does or not, but it's not always the best solution. But I always say stick to your fitness goals and then throw that in there if you
It's
know,
like
something,
it should complement what you're doing.
right.
It's not, I go to Taco Bell, I sit on the couch and I watch Netflix and I pop in Ozempic, or I think it's a shot, hoping that it'll somehow overcome your bad habits. You have to improve your bad habits, because there are people who have bad eating habits, who don't exercise, who has seen no effect with using these semaglutide. So just a little of the science behind it. Have you been familiar? Do you know how exactly it works? Like what it's actually doing in the body? Well, it simulates a hormone that's naturally made in our bodies. It's called, I think, glucagon-like protein, but it works in the brain. So it works in the brain that makes you feel hungry and full. And so basically, it's giving you that sensation that, oh, I feel full. I don't want to eat anymore. And you're just not as hungry throughout the day. So basically, you're decreasing your calories. That's how it's working. But it's a wonderful way to lose weight, because it's probably what you would tell someone anyways, right? Cut down your calories, and of course, complement it with exercise.
Do you feel as if people aren't hungry? They're losing their nutrients. They're not eating as much. They're not getting a certain, like, whatever they need to be eating, or their macros, I would say, of the day. If you're feeling full throughout the entire day.
No, I think you're right. That's a good question. Does it make someone just wither away to nothing because they're not eating? No, I don't think it quenches that entire, like, you will still be hungry if you don't eat, the entire day. But I think the important thing is, when you talk to people who are overweight, they have such a bad relationship with food, right? They're just, if you ask them, they're always thinking about, they eat and they're thinking about their next meal. So I think what this does is that, they don't have this tight relationship with food. So they might eat and not eat a lot because they feel full quicker, but they're not thinking, when's my next snack? When's lunch? Oh my goodness, I can't wait because we got tacos coming into the office, something like that. It's like, it's not a big deal. And when it's there, they're just like, maybe I'll just have a little bit. So you're still hungry, but it's not this, sort of overrunning emotion that I have to have it. And perhaps people who do have that sort of bad association, they're snacking throughout the day. And I think snacking has really hurt people ever since, we've seen a lot more people eating chips and stuff since the 70s. And that's, there's been a lot of products that have come out to kind of, hey, you can do this to kind of eat chips or a Snickers bar before lunch or dinner or something like that. So it just kind of cuts out all those things. You eat less and you feel full.
Right.
So
I think that's great. When you talk to people, at least making a healthy choice instead of the Snickers, the chips, and so even if you can get small nutrients in there, I know.
And I think when they do eat, obviously it's under the direction of a doctor. So, they're going to say, hey, you still need to eat properly. Like you need to have vegetables. You need to have your, like you said, your macros, your proteins, and, some carbohydrates here and there, and still eat healthy. It's not meant for you to somehow just eat a little bit of soup, broth, and sustain yourself like that.
So they're not going to wither away.
No, they're not going to wither away and, fly away. But, these people do lose weight. And, what we're seeing as a consequence of that is we're seeing all these people who've lost, really, when they're on it, let's say over 6 months to a year, they're losing anywhere between 30, 50, maybe even 100 pounds, And I've actually seen people start it where they might have had a gastric or bariatric surgery, like a gastric sleeve. They initially lose like 60 pounds, but then they can't lose the last like 30. And the doctor will put them on a semaglutide. And so they lose the next amount of 30 or 40 pounds. Then they have tons of loose skin, right? I mean, I'm sure you see these people come in trying to get rid of the last little bit. What sort of advice would you give someone who has a lot of loose skin, but they still struggle maybe another 30 pounds or so?
Definitely. Well, if they're not on the semaglutide,
Right.
I would just say continue to, depending on whatever their fitness goals are, continue to work out, eat healthy, find the portions, maybe rearrange what they're eating or how they're eating, go from that. And then, if this is another option and seeking from medical professional going into something like that.
And, what I've seen is when they've lost a lot of weight and they have a lot of loose skin, sometimes they kind of hit a point where it's very difficult because all that loose skin is in the way, right? They're like tucking in that skin in their clothes, like underneath their waistband. They know how to hide it, right? But, they just don't feel like, hey, I've lost all this weight. I'm not the person who I want to be, or I still feel overweight. But it's not so much that. It's just a bunch of loose skin. And there might be some fat associated with it. But most of the time I find, even without the last 30 pounds, if they've lost a majority, they're still getting towards where they might be a good candidate for now surgical resection. And that's really what it comes down to is Ozempic is creating a whole nother group of people who might not have been a candidate for, let's say, a bariatric surgery, like a sleeve, doing this and then coming in like, hey, how can we do something about this? So I think it's great. Have you seen people be on Ozempic and we're going to the gym, but then they're on Ozempic and they stop going to the gym because they're like, I don't need to go to the gym. This is great. I just won't eat anymore.
I mean, yes, but I still think so. What I've noticed when I do see people who are on Ozempic, it's like they are losing a lot of their, I wouldn't say muscle, but a lot of their body is just getting super small.
Right.
And instead of it leaning out because they're not continuing to exercise, it's just turning into skinny fat is what we call them. And it's not a bad thing, but if you're keeping up with your fitness, then you'll lean and tone out your muscles versus just losing everything withering away.
Yeah. So I think that kind of brings up the other point is, so now that we're seeing, and I think bariatric surgery really started it, and that was probably 20 years ago. They started doing gastric bypasses. Remember, that was one of the more aggressive ways of someone losing weight. It was disconnecting the stomach, bypassing a portion of the small bowel, also making the stomach smaller because, basically what you were doing is they were eating less, but they were also absorbing less because you were bypassing a portion of the absorptive portion of the small bowel. That's where people were having some issues with some nutrient, they become anemic because they weren't absorbing some of the things they needed to. So that's where gastric sleeves and there was another one that they put the collar of the stomach. What was that called? I'm blanking on it, but no, they put a little port in to blow it up with water so it didn't allow the food to go down the distal portion of the esophagus. I'll think of it in a second. But the gastric sleeve, where they cut the stomach basically to like 1/3 of its original volume so you feel full quicker. And so what people do is they actually wanted to eat a lot, but when they started to feel sick and vomiting, it was such a negative feedback that they would just eat less. And so that's where we started seeing a lot of people lose weight really quick. And then we were doing a lot of different surgeries. Ozempic has kind of helped that flood of people. So we see people, and when you lose weight everywhere, right? I'm sure you've seen it. You've seen people with loose skin on their arms, loose skin on their tummy. It's on their back. Their breasts are hanging down, inner thighs. So when you guys see somebody who's lost, as a trainer, what are some of the advices that you would give someone who's kind of struggling with their body image and when they come to you about their skin?
Definitely remember how far you've come and where you started and the journey. The journey is always super important. Whether it was a surgical procedure to remove part of their stomach or a little sleeve or whatever it was, even if it was Ozempic, the fact that where they started, they decided to make a change. And that is the most important part, going through your own journey because everyone's different. So if you're struggling with body image, it's like, think about where you were 2 years ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, and look at your progress. And if you're still not satisfied, then if they're at that point where they can seek, skin removal, then why not go about that? Because skin it's not going to go back to normal.
Yeah, because I think that's what the story I hear a lot. And we see actually bodybuilders female bodybuilders who have had children. And so they are lean as you can be. They're like 4% body fat and they have all this loose skin and they understand, like, I've done everything I can in the gym. They got muscles, you can see it, but they might have that diastasis. They might have that loose skin. So going to the gym and working out does not tighten skin. It can build muscle. You can lean out and lose fat, but it does nothing to the skin. And so that's why I hear a lot of trainers tell their patients when they've lost a lot of weight, they're like, just stick with me. We're going to tighten up those arms, the extra skin. What do you call that extra skin underneath your arms?
No, it's like flab.
Bat wings. Bat wings.
Okay, or is it? I feel like there's another term. No, maybe. I guess.
It's probably not a very politically correct, but I feel I can say that because that's what people tell me. They want to get rid of the bat wings. And here in Texas, when it gets really hot, sometimes that's like the most important thing. They're like, I just want to wear a short sleeve shirt. So this is my first priority, even though they might have a ton of skin on the lower tummy, or they want to wear shorts. And they're like, I got to deal with
Yep.
my inner thighs. So, but I do hear a lot of them come in and say, yeah, my trainer said if I just stuck with him, I would get my diastasis better and the skin would tighten up. And that's where I think there's a disconnect between the trainer's ability to understand what's really going on with the body. Because when you stretch, those stretch marks are a good indication the elastin in the skin has stretched to the point where it's not going to rebound and it's just going to stay loose. And so sometimes we have to talk to our patients and let them know, going to the gym is going to help you with the skin. This is where we have to come in and remove it and physically cut it off, because there's no machine, there's no laser, there's nothing that is going to shrink back. Because if there were, I wouldn't be working, you wouldn't be here, and I'd probably be begging for money outside. So.
Right. And it's especially when it's like an obese patient who's come in and they've lost a lot of weight and it's been their journey and they've lost so much that they do have the extra bat wings and the skin and the legs, and they're uncomfortable when it comes to being in maybe more revealing clothes like shorts and a t-shirt instead of hiding it. So I think with elasticity in skin, it has to be removed. You can't do too much.
There's no squat, there's no Russian dumbbell set that you can do, when you do HIIT and all that stuff, that's focused on raising your heart rate. So you kind of burn off more fat and probably building up more of a lean musculature probably, but it has nothing to do with skin. And for people who want to know, I would say the only people who get some skin snapback would be, let's say you were overweight in high school. So if you were ever a little bit heavier in high school, maybe 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, and then you lost weight in college or something, male or female, then you can have some element of shrinkage. The skin has that elasticity a little bit, but once you get beyond that, your skin just loses that turgor, that elastin. So even if you have these big swings, you're going to be left over with some loose skin. And everyone's different, right? I've seen really tiny people who have really great skin, but they gain a little bit of weight and it's just that one time and they do have loose skin for the rest of their lives, So everyone's a little bit different. Their genes are different. So I guess the big thing is, with the advent of all this stuff, I think it's great because humans over the past, I would say, century or so, we have, before we used to have to hunt our food, right? Go out, hunt, we grow our own food, that sort of thing. There was no preservatives, any of that. There was no snacking, right? You would probably go out and work on the farm with your family and do certain things and then come in and have fresh food and whatever it was. Now, we are a very sedentary group of people, right? Half the people, you happen to be very active. I am active because I'm in the operating room, but I would say the majority of the workforce sometimes sits down all the time. And what's the easiest food to get? It's like fast food.
Yeah. When you think about it, and especially with the changes that have happened, most people, not most, but a lot of people are working from home still. Right. So they are sitting, and we have so many additives and all these chemicals, things added to our food that take away the freshness. It's not like we're hunting for, whatever it was back in the days where we were being primal and all that. Now in today's world, it's everything has preservatives, additives, things that keep it fresh, but those have the side effect of like adding weight and sugar and all these different things that we're putting into our bodies. So when you think about it, fast food is the number one thing that is bad for you. Going out, eating, you don't even know what it's cooked in. Right. All that stuff.
Poor eating choices, but also overeating. Because back in the day when we were hunting and gathering and stuff, our bodies are designed, we didn't know when our next meal was going to come, right? So if we killed that saber-toothed tiger, our brain is saying, eat as much as you can, because I don't know when the next meal is going to come, right? Why do we love sugar so much? Because it does provide a lot of energy, but our brains are still wired to be like, okay, you see sugar, it might be some fruit on a tree, eat as much as you can because you need to store it. And you might not get this for another 2 or 3 days or something like that. Now we have the ability to have that any second of the day. Any second of the day. We don't have to move. We don't have to lift a finger. So we've been around for, thousands of years, probably more than that. It hasn't been since the last, probably couple hundred years when we've made food so available that, that's not our main source of thing, right? We don't live day to day trying to make our food, and that's what we live off of. We can do other things, but food is readily available and we're not moving and we gain weight. But yes, and then so I love being part of the process where we're at sort of at the end of the line where we start removing skin, right? So my job is to look at someone and decide, okay, what do they want done? What do I see? And so just real quickly, when I organize it, how do we remove all the skin? I typically say, let's do the core first. So the core is going to be working on the breast, the tummy, and probably the back. And then we come back at another surgery to do maybe the arms or legs. Do you know why we might do that? What's your guess?
I don't know. Good. I think you got to tell the world.
No, it's because it's a big surgery, right? I mean,
Oh, well,
there's
yes.
a lot of suturing. There's a lot. So it's a very long surgery. And so can you imagine having all those incisions up your arm, on your breast, on your tummy, on your legs? So it could be very hard to recover from. And I think you can do a really good job working on the core and then coming back and then doing those other things. And you can make other sort of revisions of other areas if you want to, additional lipo, maybe adding fat to the butt, those sorts of things. So when you're doing a surgery for massive weight loss patients, I always tell them this is going to be at least 2 surgeries, at least, maybe 3. But they should kind of understand that going in, because once you've kind of stretched out your body, I mean, you don't gain weight just in your tummy. It is everywhere, including, I've already named the other places, but you've seen those people who have a lot of loose skin on their face. Yep. They might be like 40 years old, but they look like they might be 10 years older because of the way it sags off their face. Yeah. So
it makes sense. It's going to be tough to recover if you literally took everything, plus blood supply and all of that. So
yeah, and we want people to have a safe surgery, right? Just like I was saying, if you're healthy, you're going to recover better, have a better surgery. And so making sure that you recover from those things and then come back for the next one the way I described it, I think people do much better. And the results, I think, are really incredible, because I've seen people try to do everything. And first of all, it's very long of a surgery. And I've seen the results, and I just don't think they're as good as when you really try to focus and be economical but efficient and focus your energies on those people, on those areas, and then come back to do the other parts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great.
So I think these things are great to help people lose weight. What you do is wonderful, because that's the right way to do it. We are fighting the way our brains were wired to consume food. And the companies that make food, they understand what people like and what children like. I think of the children eating cereals and breakfast with all the sugar. They were doing a test where they said, okay, what cereal do the kids like? And it didn't matter what cereal, as long as the sugar content was going up, 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 that's the cereal they liked. Yep. And so what is it to them? They're just like, okay, well, we're going to make the most money off of this. So it's just the way we market to our children. Education to people is really important. So do you guys educate people on their nutrition in addition to what you guys do in the gym?
Sometimes, we have a couple of different body scan machines that we could kind of go over lean mass and body fat percentage and risk of disease based on what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Is everything always going to be 100% accurate? No, but if people do have questions, we always give them recommendations, especially ones that are really focused on nutrition. And, they're asking, but everybody's diet is different. Like mine is different from probably everyone else's here. Sure. Yours is different, especially with your dietary needs. Like, I don't eat meat. And are you still vegan?
I will eat fish.
Okay, so pescatarian. So that's what I do. But a lot of the people I see do eat meat. So, making adjustments there. Right. Nutrition is definitely a very big, I would say, really important and big part of your journey when it comes to weight loss. Portions, nutrition, all of that.
Well, it's, the biggest thing I could tell people as we wrap things up is just educating yourself on all these things, right? I mean, and I think that people inherently understand what they need to do. I got to eat less, I got to eat better, but they just find it really hard to do it. And so got to come up with plans for them to be able to do those things and make it a part of their routine. Understand what they're putting into their body. I always tell people your body is like a Ferrari, but if you keep putting shitty oil in it, it's not going to run like a Ferrari. It can only do so much. So you got to put in premium oil for it to run at its best. And I think when people exercise like you do, and, I try my best to work out, 3-4 times a week, you feel better, right? Yeah. You wake up, you sleep better, and all those things kind of build that momentum to just feeling better overall. So, but I think Ozempic and all those things, they're here to stay. I think it's kind of a miracle thing that we were able to find that hormone that works in the brain that certain way. We might even see some of the surgical bariatric surgeries go away, meaning gastric sleeves, bypasses, because it's going to be so powerful. There used to be, when people used to get acid reflux, they used to have these weird surgeries to tie up the stomach so you wouldn't have GERD. Now they just have these really powerful medications that decreases the acidity in your stomach. And those surgeries went away. And so if I was a bariatric surgeon, I'd be a little worried. Yeah. But as a plastic surgeon, man, as long as people overeat and then lose weight, we're always around. We're always around to help out with that extra skin.
I think, yeah, as long as there's no crazy side effects,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I think everything
Yeah.
should
And
go.
I don't know of any. Do you know of any?
The no ass syndrome.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, real quickly before we sign off, there is this myth that says if you take Ozempic or you have a gastric bypass, that somehow you're going to lose weight really fast, and
No.
that's why your skin is very loose. And because you can lose it sometimes pretty quick, but losing weight, whether it takes a long time to lose 50 pounds, let's say like a year or two, or it happens in 3 months. Your skin will still be the way. So somehow losing weight too fast doesn't make your skin looser. It
Right.
will be loose no matter what. So it
Yeah.
is a myth, whether you lose it fast or you lose it slow. At the end of your 50-pound weight loss, your skin will be just as loose as it was before.
Yeah.
So
So I guess that's a busted myth.
another busted myth
Another
here on Dr. Dallas Unleashed. So, but yeah, stick with us. We're going to have Angelica here for different topics as well down the road. We'll get into other surgery trends, plastic surgery trends, and anything you guys want to talk about. So we always look at our social media. So listen to us where you can find your podcast. We're about everywhere, right? Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Signing off.
Signing off. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.